Hi, welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abbasi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. And today we're going to talk about anger. But I wanted to tell you that I got a crown today. Not the pretty bling bling crown, but the crown in my mouth. So it's a temporary crown. I was dreading it. I was freaking out. I was nervous. I even told the dentist I would rather get a colonoscopy than to do this crown. And the guy was like, really, really a colonoscopy? I was like, yes, I would rather do that than to get this crown. Anyway, part of my issue is that I have TMJ. And one of the things that was uncovered in my MRIs when they did the MRI on my ears to check my vestibular system, my balance system in my ears, they saw that my jaw on the left side has major TMJ. So it's, I guess, not verification, but validation that what I've been suffering from my whole life, yeah, it's really bad. So they were like, we need to do something about it. And I'm like, no, we don't. We have to do something about my vestibular problem that I've been living with. It's fine. But when I go to the dentist, to hold my mouth open is really painful and uncomfortable. It's terrible. So they give me this thing that they put in to hold my mouth open for me. And that made it really nice. And the Novocaine that he gave me like worked to a T. My lip was not even numb, which is nice. It was like simply the tooth. Like it was a great experience. I'm gonna say for a dentist and for like drilling half of your tooth away so they can put the crown on, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to complain because it wasn't bad. It honestly was not bad. So that's what happened today. I have to go back in 3 weeks because 2 weeks is Thanksgiving. So 3 weeks to get my permanent crown with it, which is made of porcelain or ceramic or something like that. So yeah, not bad. Kind of expensive, but not bad, even with insurance. So that's what happened today. So anger. No, I'm not angry. It was just a topic this morning. So what I was thinking about when the topic was anger this morning, I was thinking about all the people I've run across in my life. They like flashed before my eyes. All of these people who live their lives angry. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's like there are people that I don't know if they like to be angry or they get some sort of thrill from being angry. Maybe anger triggers happy chemicals for them. I don't know. But I don't want to live like them. I cannot live like that. I cannot live in anger. And when I see people getting all riled up about anything about, well, the biggest thing that's been going on lately is politics. When I hear people getting so riled up about politics, like, I just can't let myself get to that point because if I do, I'm at risk. I'm at risk for drinking. So, maybe these people who get angry, it doesn't cause them to do anything that's unhealthy for them. I feel like it's probably just the act of being angry is causing an unhealthy amount of stress on one's body. That's what I think. The last time I truly remember being angry was with my with a doctor over the past year. So For those of you lifetime listeners, you've already heard this, but for you newer folks, I was submitting my information for long-term insurance, long-term disability insurance. All my doctors had to submit paperwork. And I was right up against because they got to wait till the last minute before I'm out of time. And I get a call from my long-term disability claims examiner. And she says, just so you know, you're probably going to get denied. And I was like, what? I mean, I was so pissed. But I thought, thank God I did. I thought to myself, I need her on my side. So I did not blow up at her because it's not her fault. It's not her fault. I figured that it wasn't her fault as soon as she told me. And I'm so happy that I did because I responded, can you help me understand why that is? And she explained to me that my paperwork that was submitted by my doctor said that I can drive and my vision is fine. And I was like, how can that possibly be? And she was like, that's what the paperwork says. So I said, thank you. I was appreciative. I said, I understand that this is not you, that this is a lot of factors that are going into this, but you can imagine how frustrated I am. So she was like, yes, I understand. I said, I'm going to call all of my doctors. And that's what I did. So I ended up um, not directing my anger, but recognizing that the person that I was talking to when I got angry was not the person who was at fault, you know? And a lot of times it makes sense to me when I'm saying this out loud right now that we take anger out on those that are closest to us. And that is probably because those people are the ones that are around us when our anger is triggered. And so if we can control that snap that anger makes us feel, then we may be able to save some relationships or at least not harm them. So what I did was, just to close out that story, I ended up reaching out to all of my doctors and I found the culprit, this ophthalmologist who filled out my paperwork wrong. I don't know why. He was rushing. He wasn't paying attention to who he was actually filling out the paperwork for. I have no idea. But he is the one who said that I didn't have any problem with my eyes and that I could drive and there was no problem. I'm like, why would he say that? I couldn't even attend the vision therapy because I couldn't get into the office because my symptoms were so bad. And he's just like, yeah, she's fine. So when I called the office, I actually started crying on the phone. And I said, I am so frustrated that somebody would not take the time, like, this is my life, not take the time to fill this paperwork out. So I was really, really angry with that guy, but I still made it a point to be kind to the person on the phone because I wasn't talking to the guy. Of course, I never got to talk to the doctor. I was talking to the receptionist or the office manager and explain it. She was very sympathetic and yeah, so they fixed my paperwork in the end and I ended up getting approved. So I really believe had I not handled it that way, had I just popped a top, that's what I like to call it. If I had popped a top, on the claims examiner and then also called all the doctors and like lit everybody up, it would not have been resolved like that. Nobody would have wanted to help me. So I only saw that as an option because through experience. Not only through experience, um, seeing how how customer service reacts to when I'm angry. They want to get off the phone as fast as possible. They want to just get you out of the way. And when you're kind, they're more willing to help. But also from the perspective of being in customer service and having somebody go off on me, I know what I felt like, and that was I just wanted to get off the phone. And I did not, they were spreading their anger on me. They were throwing it at me, and I didn't want it. I wanted to shake it off, and I didn't want to help them. So that's exactly what happened to me. So through all that experience, I choose to try not to spread the anger, but at least reserve it until I get off the phone, until I'm not talking to somebody and I can actually do something about my anger. So, some of the things that I heard people talking about this morning were like meditation, serenity prayer, God box. And so I wanted to talk about some of those things. But I was thinking about, like, in that situation, what did I do when I got angry? So I told you that I paused, and that is what I did. She told me, and I skipped a beat before I responded, because what was gonna come out of my mouth was not gonna be nice. So I paused because I could feel it. I could feel the anger bubbling up, and I could feel something that was gonna come out that I would regret later. I could just feel the discomfort, and I was able to shut my mouth and take a beat and then respond. And that was really all I needed to correct myself and think, this is not going to help me. Me being mean is not going to help me. So I don't need to act on my anger right now. But what I can do is do something about my anger. Don't act on my anger, but do something about my anger. Um, so that's kind of it seems like a play on words a little bit, but there is a distinct difference for me between the two. When I'm acting on anger, that means that I'm letting the anger drive my behavior. I'm not letting my decision maker drive my behavior. I'm acting before I'm able to recognize what it is I'm even doing. It's autopilot, it's habit. And when I am doing something about my anger, I am methodical and I'm playing the tape forward. What can I do in order to get the best result from this situation? It is really self-control. It is. But when you just say, if somebody were to say to me when I'm angry, Rachel, you need to control yourself, I would like lose my shit on them, because I need to break it down into what exactly is self-control. You know, um, I can't sit on the anger. So if I don't act on the anger, then it would appear as though I'm sitting on the anger, and I'm just holding on to the anger. And that's not what I'm doing. I'm carving a path to put the anger towards something that's going to make it better. It's like I'm using it to power a project. I'm using it to power my decisions. But yet I just said, when we act on anger, it's that anger is controlling our behavior. Right. Okay. Yeah. So when you love it. You love listening to this. So when I talk about anger powering decisions, then I'm able to control my behavior. That's what it is. I can't repeat that. So I hope you're caught up. Okay. So moving on. Some of the things that I heard folks talking about and they really resonated with me was number one, the serenity prayer. That extra beat that we wait before we act on anger is just long enough to ask one simple question. Can I control? Whether it's people, places, and things, this, that, this person, can I control this? And if I can control it, then I'm going back to using the anger to power my decisions. If I can't control it, then I need to figure out something to do with it. And what I chose to do with it in early sobriety was I got my little God box out and I wrote it on a piece of paper and I stuck it in there. That was my response. So I think I could see it as, if I can't control it, then I need to respond to it. I'm not acting on it. I'm turning and looking at it, acknowledging the anger is here, and then I'm responding to it. This is what we're going to do about you, because you can't just sit there and boil up and go down into my deep, dark place. I need to respond to it. And if that means that I put it in my God box, fine. If it is something that I can control, then I'm going to methodically think out what actions I need to take in order to rectify it. And that's what I did with the whole doctor situation. There is one thing that I'm laughing at now, is that I immediately started this path. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Like, I figured it out probably faster than I should have, but I'm like, I'm going to call all my doctors. As long as I had like a pretty calm demeanor, it's fine that I was calling my doctors. If I was like, I'm going to call my freaking doctors, then I probably don't want to do that right away. So what I'm laughing at is, when I called the doctors, I could feel my heart beating out of my chest because I was angry. I was still angry, but I wasn't behaving in a way, like I wasn't being mean. And I wasn't killing them with kindness either, right? There's two ways that I can be a total bitch. And that is, one, I can be really mean and say things that I'll regret, or I can be really, really nice, so much that It feels really good that I'm being so nice. You know what I mean? And I didn't do either of those. I was really a woman with a plan. And what had happened was unacceptable to me. So, what my husband had told me when I first entered medical retirement was, this is your job. So respond to things the same way that you would if you were working with a coworker or a third party contractor or something like that. And that's how I responded. I responded so that I wouldn't lose my job because that's exactly what was going on. If I had lost my shit on the claims examiner or the doctors, then they would have just denied me. And that would mean that I would, quote unquote, lose my job. I would lose my disability if I did not handle everybody professionally. So that's what I did. And I feel like there's so much to lose when we're angry. And I try my best to yeah, not act on it like we're talking about here, but do something about it. So one way is the God box. And I've talked to you guys a lot about my God box, where if I get angry with somebody, writing down their name on a little piece of paper and sticking it in the box. And I usually say, let go, let God, and I write the person's name on the box. Um, Another way is meditation. And I've used that one a lot too. I think I use meditation a little more with anxiety than I do anger, but that might just be because I'm anxious a whole lot more than I'm angry. That situation that I'm talking about with the doctors and all that stuff, I mean, that was. Gosh, where are we at? We're in November. Um, yeah. I mean, that was at least 6 months ago. I feel like that was almost a year ago. No, 8 months ago, something like that. A long time ago. And I haven't been angry since then. The situation that I was dealing with recently with my neighbor, I wasn't as angry as I was anxious and unsettled and just like I just wanted to peel off a layer of my skin because I wanted the situation to go away. So I don't get angry very often, but meditation is if you need more than just a beat, I think it's a really nice way to just process. I think that's what a lot of these things are, is it's allowing us to set aside space for processing the emotion. And these things like anger and anxiety are extreme emotions for me. It's extreme and it needs more time to process. And if I don't do something about them, like if I don't channel them, use them to power my decisions, if I don't do that, I will just sit in the anger or the anxiety and I will torture myself. It's almost like taking a pair of tweezers and pulling out my arm hair one by one. That's what it's like. It's just like I'm being tortured. And it's all starting with me. I'm the one who's torturing myself. But what I've learned over the course of my sobriety is that I don't have to do that. That these emotions, whether they are minor or they're major, like anger and anxiety, the ones that really, really put me off balance. Um, those extreme emotions are impermanent. And that's something that I've learned by living in sobriety. The emotions that I felt when I was drinking, they were not impermanent. They stayed with me because I was using alcohol to numb it, and then it would swell back out. It's like, here's this anger or anxiety and it's swelling up inside of me. I'm going to drink alcohol and I'm going to make the swelling go down. And then as the alcohol wore off, those same feelings would swell back up and they would smell. They were stinky too. They would swell even more after the alcohol wore off. They were almost feeling like they were permanent. I mean, they were. They were killing me. I was killing myself. Literally, I was torturing and killing myself. And it was all happening right here between my ears and inside underneath my skin. All of this was happening inside of me. I mean, that is fascinating. I was working on my book yesterday, and one of the chapters that I'm talking about, invisible illnesses, it's like really showing me how deadly it is and how blind everybody around us is to what's happening inside of us. So I'm just reminded of that. It's fascinating to me that, this has been going on for hundreds of years. People are feeling these feelings. And it's only recently that it's become something that we talk about as a society. So, yeah. What is underneath the anger? I don't think that anger travels alone. I think that anger typically is tied to other very complex emotions. Remember, I had the color wheel of emotions. I'm going to have to go back, and I don't know if I ever actually made the color wheel I know that they have them online, the color wheel of emotions. I did not look at this idea of a color wheel of emotions online before I came up with the brilliant idea of a color wheel of emotions, but apparently somebody already had that idea. I could have made millions. But when I think of the color wheel of emotions, I wonder if anger is a primary color or if it's one that has a different root cause, because I really feel like anger travels alongside either jealousy, sadness, guilt, all of that stuff. I really feel anger doesn't travel alone. So I think that this is the analogy I was thinking about today. Take a pot of boiling water and you put beans in it, okay? Dried beans. So the beans are your growth, and the pot of boiling water is anger. And if this is from experience, if you let okay, let's see if I can articulate this well. So you have the pot of boiling water with the beans in it. Put a little salt in there. If you boil the beans long enough to let the water boil out, then that salt will get infused into the beans and it makes a delicious bean. If you boil the beans and you have so much water and you end up just pouring the water out, meaning you explode on somebody, you just pour the water out before the beans are done, you're going to have some shitty beans and they're not going to have any salt in them. That's what it's like if you don't let anger process. If you don't let the boiling water just keep doing its thing until it evaporates. If you just get the water to a boil and then you pour it out in the sink, nothing good is happening. You are simply getting angry and then exploding. And there is no growth that can happen. You're not doing anything to the beans. Um, I hope that came across well because I thought it was an amazing analogy. Only because we were making beans. We're a part of a bean club now. And we were making beans and I accidentally didn't put the lid on the beans and I boiled them and the water was almost fully evaporated. And I noticed that. So I was about to burn the pot and I took the beans off and tasted one of the beans. They were amazing. It was an accident, but they were amazing. So the next time I did it correctly and kept the lid on, and the beans just boiled in the water and they were just not, I don't know, they weren't great. So it made me think about this idea of anger and beans. So I'm going to move on from that. So finally, I wanted to talk about do I let myself get angry? Like, is anger something that I have a choice to feel? I posed this question to myself this morning, and I'm not sure if I came up with an answer because there are, like the Serenity Prayer says, there are things that we can control and things that we can't. And that wisdom to know the difference, that is where we have the choice. If I get angry and I can acknowledge I have no control over this situation, then I have a shot at processing the anger. If I decide to be angry anyway and not have any control over it, I'm torturing myself. I'm pulling those hairs out of my arm. If I am angry about something and there is something I can do about it, I can either do the thing that I can do about it and allow that anger to process, allow the water to boil out, or I can do nothing and just feel the anger and just let the water just keep boiling, and it's not helping anyone. And all I'm doing is torturing myself again. So I do think that anger is a choice. I do. At a certain point. I don't think that when we first get angry at something that we necessarily have a choice. That would that would be like saying somebody told me a joke and I did not laugh, even though I thought it was funny. Sometimes our natural reaction is to just laugh. That's why they have these great TV shows where they have people, they have the bloopers where these actors and actresses are trying not to laugh and they just do, because that's what anger does too. Sometimes it just happens. So I think that that's part of being human. I think it's that point where we take a extra beat and think, do I have control or not? Okay, I do have control. I need to do something about it. Oh, I don't have control. Okay, then I need to meditate. I need to use my God box. I need to let the water boil out, without acting on it, without just pouring it out in the sink and risking burning myself. Yeah. So, that's what I've got for you today. I think it was a good reminder for me, because who knows when I'm going to get angry again. And I want to be prepared for my anger for sure. So, that's what I've got. Thanks for listening today, and I will talk to you tomorrow.